November 29th, 2013, with Robert McGuigan. So it's been a couple of days since our last little cancer interview. How you feeling today? How are things?
My spirit's been high. I'm feeling good. I could feel a little weakness in my energy level, but that has to do with the magnesium and what have you, and I'm going to take care of that. But I'm keeping the energy level as high as I can, the positive attitude and everything. But Wednesday, I had a phone call, talked with the doctor a little bit, or not the doctor, but I got a phone call from the VA and what have you, explaining what was going to happen on next week, Monday. Originally, I thought it was just going to be going through the lab. If I'm a little low on the magnesium, that's fine. They're going to give me an infusion. But I also found out that my meeting on the 18th of December is actually my, I guess you could say, my D-Day. Originally, I thought it was going to be Monday, but I found out that the 18th I will be determined then whether they're going to be carrying on the treatment or they're not. Although they said we will make that determination, that bothers me. They were very strong in how they stated it, and it's like, okay, I understand. But it did heighten me in terms of, well, you know, maybe I'm only going to have 6 to 8 weeks, or maybe a little longer, or maybe up to 12, but 4 to 6 may not be the realistic. I don't know. Am I concerned? Oh, hell yeah. Am I scared? Yes. But I'm going to fight it every which way but loose. I'm not going to give up. But yeah, I'm concerned. What's the word I want to use? I guess you could say my awareness has been heightened as to what possibly can happen on the 18th. So, as far as I can concerned, D-Day or 18th of December is D-Day. I do find myself thinking about heaven, about going there, and about the other world. And the peace of mind, you know, I found myself now even every once in a while just looking up and saying, Lord, asking the Lord for help and guidance. And for peace of mind. I've also found myself saying, Lord, I know I'm coming to you, and asking your help to let me finish and accomplish what I'm doing. So I find myself becoming, I guess you could say, closer to the Lord. Having grown up Catholic, but I'm finding myself drawing more and more to heaven and the Lord and the God. Most of my time is spent now taking care of business and things that are important to me, like my celebration of life. I've been able to handle and get every funeral expense, every funeral arranged, stuff like that. Now my celebration of life and my story and the things that I'm working on right now that I feel are important, that not only for my
Peace of mind.
My peace of mind of getting things done, but also for my family's sake down the road. And that's where I find myself pretty much. So preoccupied with that, once I'm able to, and I'm almost there now, of getting things done that I wanted to accomplish in that respect, that I felt was important, that needed to be done, that I want to have done prior to me passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost to that point. And with that being said, then, I guess at that point, then I'm going to focus and put all my energy in staying around as long as I can
Mm-hmm.
and getting closer to the Lord up above. In my life, oh gosh, things I've done, I not really. Do I wish I would have changed some things with now the knowledge of the cancer? I look back and going, no. I've lived my life how I wanted to. I've had that freedom to do that. There may be some things that I haven't thought of that, yeah, I wish I'd have done differently. But in reality, where I'm at, no, I'm pleased.
Mm-hmm.
I have no regrets in that respect. I'm happy with what I've accomplished. I've been a fighter in my life in terms of adversity. If something goes wrong, I'm going to take it and turn it into positive. I'm proud of myself for that.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that I think of my son that I wish I would have done more, that I thought of even prior to the cancer. But now that I'm thinking about it too, it's like I've shifted in that respect. My son knows that maybe I didn't do this or maybe I didn't say that, but my son knows how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Where before I might have felt guilt, now I'm feeling like, no, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And he forgives me. And I just, yeah, I'm coming more and more to peace of mind.
Since you brought up Jason, let's talk just for a second about parenting and in general. I mean, it's everybody wants to be a perfect parent to their kids, but we all know that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. In your opinion, what is some of the things that are most important to be a good parent? What do people need to really focus on with their kids?
Wow, that's a good one. I guess the most important thing, more than anything, is to try and understand where they're at. Putting yourselves in their shoes, regardless of whatever their age. I was a lucky, I wouldn't say lucky, but maybe that's the word, but I think I was lucky in the respect that I was able to take my upbringing, the rights and the wrongs that happened to me as a young man growing up, and being able to take what wrongs I learned and what I didn't like in terms of my dealing with my son, which goes back your treatment, understanding their moods, being able to relate to them, where they're at, whatever level they may at. Maybe they're got like my son had a learning disability. Being able to say okay and work with that. Mm-hmm. Whether a child has a learning disability or whether he doesn't. It's a matter of working with that child, understanding where they're at. And you can do that. And I also do believe that there's a natural ability that a parent has with that's inornate, that's built right into you as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of drawing that out of you. And I think that helped me. Just listening, understanding, being a good parent, being there when they need you. And these are basic skills. I'm not going to say there were times that I was not maybe too hard on my son. Mm-hmm. But again, you got to balance the whole. Mm-hmm. And a good parent will be able to do that. It's also making sure that what you're doing and what you're showing your son is the right thing to do. You're not going into, say, cutting down the mother or cutting down the ex-wife and whatever, regardless of what she does or he does. You can't do that. And by God, when you face a rough time with the other parent, married or unmarried, don't be negative about the other parent to your son. Or daughter. That's the worst thing you could do. Never ever cut the other parent down, regardless. And thank God I never did that with my son. And because of that, my son gained more respect for me and respected me as a person and carried that on. And the same goes with people all around you. Whether race, creed, or color. My son learned from me that we're all the same. Mm-hmm. And I saw a son growing up that learned from my values and took those values with him as he got older. And I was so proud of him for that. Mm-hmm. That he was as open-minded and trustworthy and everything else as his dad. And he grew up understanding that, yes, mom and dad had problems, but no, dad would never interfere with their relationship. Mm-hmm. And for that, I'm real proud, and that's something people need to know. Mm-hmm. Don't cut the other parent, and don't play the game. It's the worst thing you could do for the kids.
A lot of times, it's easy to look back on your life and see different phases that you've been through and different periods of life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's almost like life is like a big jigsaw puzzle made up of all these little pieces that represent a certain period of your time that you've been here, or a mindset you were in at a certain point in life. Talk just a little bit about reflecting on life as a series of phases, or I guess that's probably the best word I'm looking for there. Or do you not see it that way at all? Or
phases in one's life?
Yeah.
We all go through different phases. I mean, we go from childhood into early adulthood, into early manhood, and then, of course, into, well, you start getting older, and you're elderly. I hope the hell I reach 100, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, there's different phases of life you go through. God, as a young kid, you're invincible. Nothing is going to hurt you. Hell, you can jump from the highest cliff up near the Yellowstone Lake in Blanchardville, Wisconsin, and you're jumping off the highest cliff you can into the lake, and you got ledges below, and you just hope you're going to make it. You're invincible, and you go through life like this as a young kid, and we all do. And then, as I got older, that scared me with kids, because I said, wait a minute, you're not invincible here. But kids, then that goes back to the development of the brain. We won't get into that. That's just, your development of the brain doesn't really hit home until you're 24, 25, period. Mm-hmm. That's your comprehensiveness. So you're lackadaisical, you have no care. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Well, shit happens. We all know that. Mm-hmm. And then I think, yeah, then you get your little wild oats. You're out of the house. You're 18 and older. You're going to college, and now you're able to drink. When you reach 20, 21, well, again, part of you still thinks you're invisible. But now you got freedom that you've never had. And you're totally free. Yeah, you still got mom and dad knocking on the door saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, hell, then you move out. You're on your own. Mom and dad, and you get in your little arguments and what have you with the parents. And I'm on my own. I know what I'm doing now. And then all of a sudden you're calling back home. Well, can I have a little help here? But you go through that phase, and You know, it's during that phase I think you start to also kind of grow up a little. You're sowing your wild oats, but you're also learning about life a little more. You're learning more responsibility, and things are happening. You're starting to grow. You're starting to develop. You're becoming your own person. Are there things that I may regret doing than I did back then? Oh yeah, but I sure as hell ain't gonna go into detail.
Not on camera.
Yeah, that would be too much. But yeah, I did things that I regret, and some of the things I did altered me in some ways. What I wanted to do, what I would have liked to have done in my later years, because of my, I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but I would just say because of my, it can't hurt me. Well, things eventually that you do as a youth can come back and hurt you, whether it's you got involved in drugs, or you did this, or you did that, and that kind of curtails you, what you can do. No, I never got arrested for drugs or any of that, but I did certain things that I regret now. And some of it, hey, I'll be honest, I would have liked to have ran for political office. But because of some of the things I did, and it did involve some drugs, I couldn't do that. And I regret that. It was nothing major, but I did it anyway. And it curtailed me in my later life. There's a lesson to be learned. It wasn't illegal what I did, but I knew if it came out I did this, it would hurt me politically. Just like a few years ago, somebody says, well, I came out and I smoked pot, or I did this, or I did that. That shoots you down politically in a heartbeat, no matter how good of a heart, how good of a mind, and how open you are. It stops you, and it stopped me. So it hurt me in later life, so there's a lesson there. I mean, we're all kids growing up. We're all going to make mistakes, and we know that. We don't know it, but we do, no matter what. We know it now. So a lesson learned there. And I guess in terms of the parents, the kids are going to do wrong. They know it. It happens. Don't harp on them. Don't harp on them. They know they made the mistake. They're the ones that will have to correct it in the first place. If they continue, regardless of what it is. Worst thing you can do is harp at them and push them. Otherwise, that just pushes you away from them. That's just bottom line. So then my later years, well, my middle years, 40s and up, well, hell. I did my own thing. Yeah, I floated around a bit in my jobs, but I love what I was doing. I love people. I love food. I love the restaurants at the time, which is not most conducive for a for a very strong financial future. Restaurant business is not the greatest in terms of waiters and waitresses and bartenders and what have you. And even owning them is a challenge, but I love people and I love sales, and eventually I ended up in sales and retired without much of a pension or an income, but you know, I'm happy. I did what I did, and now here I am in later years, and I reflect on all that, and I'm sure there's other stuff that'll come back to me. And we'll go from there.
This one, I was thinking about this one in my head, and I don't know how easy it's going to be to give an answer. I know for me it would be pretty difficult, but looking back on your entire life, what's the happiest moment that you can recall? What's the happiest you've been throughout all the years?
Wow. Wow.
Like I said, I'd probably have to spend hours thinking about that
I would
one.
have to say the happiest moment in my life was the birth of my son.
Yeah.
Without even thinking. That was the happiest moment of my life, knowing that I created this child and that I was a father.
Mm-hmm.
That is the happiest moment of my life. And on the other spectrum, the worst moment was when I got the call and he was murdered. There you have both ends of the spectrum, and they're both the same.
Mm-hmm.
The birth of my son and the death of my son. But the birth, oh man, when Jason was born, oh my God, I was in seventh heaven. I was in the delivery room. I was seeing it happen. But apparently the doctors thought by looking at me I was getting a little squeamish, and they felt necessary to say, Robert, I think we don't need two patients here, and they decided I was too white and decided to move me out of the room. I missed that part, but I did get to see the birth of my son coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the afterbirth that started to get to me.
Yeah.
But that was my creation. It was me, part of me. Man, that I couldn't have been happier or more proud. I mean, at that point, that was the epitome of my life. This was my accomplishment. If I never accomplished anything more, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Top line, all the way across the board. I'm still smiling today.
Awesome.